Assalamu alaikum everyone. I'm Dr. Muattar Hanif, Assistant Editor at Dental News Pakistan, and I'm so excited to welcome you all to this live session, Health and Nutrition Tips for Ramzan. And I'm so thrilled to welcome our speaker, Dr. Nazeer Khan. He's PhD, Professor of Biostatistics at Jinnah Medical University, and he's also advisor to VC for Research. Dr. Nazeer is also the editor of Annals for Jinnah Medical University, Karachi, Pakistan. Please, Dr. Nazeer, join us in the video, and hello.
Thank you very much. Okay. Uh, my introduction was that today I'm talking about fasting and nutrition. Please go next, please. Today in this lecture, I'm going to cover some basic concept of fasting in nutrition, and then we have to see what to eat in and drink, what to eat at iftar, what to eat at dinner, what to eat at Sahoor, and something about diabetic patient, what they should eat, and diabetic with renal insufficiency, and then we talk about pregnancy. The last we discuss one study which I have done. Next, please. The quality of foods eaten and eating pattern change considerably during Ramadan. The type of food eaten during the night in Ramadan usually different from the usually consumed during the rest of the year. Alteration in eating modes and infrequent meal may affect important enzymatic metabolic responses and different aspects of human health. It has been established that a given nutrient ingested at an unusual time can induce different metabolic effects. Next, please. Next, although having no overly harmful effect, fasting during Ramadan has been observed to be associated with the changes in lipid profile and body composition even in healthy individuals, which has been postulated to be due to change in nutritional habit during Ramadan. The Ramadan diet generally involves reduced food and in particular fat intake and a reduction in body weight. Many studies mention about this thing. Next, please. During fasting hours, when no food or drinks are consumed, the body uses its stored carbohydrate, which is stored in the liver and muscles, and fat to provide energy. Once all the calories from food consumed in iftar and suhoor have been used up, this is the way they give the body to the fat. But the body cannot store water. So the kidney consume as much water as possible by reducing the amount lost in urine. However, the body cannot avoid losing some water when we go to toilet. So our skin, when we breathe and when we sweat, it is warm. Next, please. Depending on the weather, next, go back, please. Depending on the weather and length of the fast, most people who fast during Ramadan experience mild dehydration, chakkar aata hai, which may cause headache, tiredness, difficulty of concentrating. They cannot concentrate the things. However, studies have suggested that it is not harmful to health, provided that enough fluids are consumed after breakfast of the fast to replace those lost during the day. For those who could normally consume caffeinated drinks or carbonated drinks, such as tea and coffee during the day, the lack of caffeine during the fast may initially lead to headaches and tiredness. In the beginning, we feel that we have problem for 1 or 2 days. However, this may ease over the course of Ramadan as the body adjusted to going without caffeine during the day. After 2 or 3 days, we adjust the body and we do not have any problem. Next, please. Once the fast is broken, the body can rehydrate. We have a lot of drink of water and other things and gain energy from the foods and drink consumed. Having not even for a long period, we may find it helpful to eat slowly when breaking the fast and to start with plenty of fluids and low fat, fluid-rich food. Especially when in the hot weather and hot places, after the iftar, we do not need anything except water. Ramadan can be a good time to make changes to improve the balance of our diet that can sustain in the long term. But we do usually we do not do it. We should do it. What we have to have practiced in Ramadan, we should sustain in the next 11th month. Next, please. Now, what to eat in that drink? Drinking plenty of fluids. This is the main thing. As well as consuming fluid-rich foods such as fruit, vegetable, yogurt, soups, and stews with a lot of gravy. It's very important to replace fluid last during the day and to start the next day of fasting well hydrated. But however, salt stimulates thirst, and so it is good idea to avoid consuming a lot of salty food. We should not take the salty food like something which gives a lot of salt, and the problem we started with the thirst. The pre-dawn meal, Sahoor provides fluids and energy for the day of fasting ahead. So making healthy choices can help us to cope better with the fast. Next, please. Now, what should we eat in the iftar? Well, iftar meals are often a time for celebration with families and friends. But this year we are not doing this thing because due to this pandemic, due to coronavirus, we are not making the meeting of friends and families. This is usually you do it and we're coming together to break their fast. It is important not to go overboard when eating during Ramadan. Consuming a lot of deep fried, samosa, and other fried things, cream and sweet food may actually cause to gain weight during Ramzan. So you should avoid these creamy things and also the fried things. Next, please. What to eat after continue? The changes to eating habits, lack of fluids during the day may cause constipation for some people. And it's happened that we do not drink water from long period of time, so we get constipation. To avoid constipation, papaya could be used in iftar. Usually I do it also when we have problem with the constipation. So with the other things, we are use papaya in iftar. When we eat and drink, consuming plenty of high fiber foods such as whole grains, high fiber cereal, bran, fruit, and vegetables, beans, lentils, dried fruit, and nuts. Alongside plenty of fluids may help to ease constipation as well as doing some light physical activity, such as going for a walk after iftar. We have enough time, we have some time after iftar, before tarawih, we can go for a small walk. We also use the fruit, a traditional way to break the fast in our culture. Fruit provides natural sugars for energy, fluid, and some vitamins and minerals. Next, please. Also, we have to use some, we open the fast with the dates. So traditionally, it tend to break the fast since the time of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Dates are a great way to break the fast as they provide natural sugar for energy, provide mineral like potassium, copper, and manganese, and are a source of fiber and do not require complicated process to be digested as it is case with the carbohydrate and fat. The people who use the date, they don't have any problem with the stomach ingesting. It quickly and easily absorbed through the stomach lining. You can also try other dried fruits such as apricots, melon, figs, raisin, and prunes, which also provide fiber and nutrition. And in these days, especially in Pakistan, we have a lot of watermelon. It contains more than 90% of water, with a good source of fluid. Adding watermelon to Sahoor meal or eat it as a sweet treat after iftar, and it is really available and it will give a good energy iftar and daytime. Next, please. These are picture of papaya and donut. What to eat next, please? Yes, go ahead, please. Now we go what to eat after the iftar. After breaking the fast, we should have balanced of starchy food, including whole grains, fruit and vegetable, dairy foods, and protein-rich foods like meat, fish, eggs, and vegetables. Served with rice, chapatis, and yogurt. After a long fast, it is natural to want to treat them ourselves. We want to eat more, but we should try to keep the amount of fatty and sugary food and sugary drink to small amount. Also remember that the carbonated drink, fizzy drink with sugar will add calories to our diet without adding any nutrition value. We should avoid these fizzy drink in the iftar as well as sahur. Next, please. What to eat dinner? Remember that we only have a relatively short time each day to eat and drink, provide our body with all the essential nutrients and fluids it needs to be healthy. So the quality of our diet is especially important during the Ramadan. And after the dinner, if we have some time before tarawih, then we have a light exercise such as going to walk or walk to the masjid for tarawih. study in the automobile. So if you have some time, we can walk and we can get some exercise. Next, please. Next. Now, what to eat in Sahoor? Prophet ﷺ said that eat Sahoor, for in Sahoor there is a blessing. And Prophet ﷺ also said that delay the Sahoor as far as you say that. And but one thing, Messi Medis 2017 said that brain is dependent on continual supply of a glucose to carry out its crucial function. The first meal of the day, Sahoor is deemed a main contributor to this glucose supply. Two-meal routine is commonly practiced among fasting individuals, and thus they primarily rely on the nutritional content of the meal consumed at Sahoor to get them through the day's activities. With nutrition replacement only after the dusk. Thus, with only the Sahoor meal to sustain their body and brain fuel needs throughout the day light hours. Therefore, our Sahoor should have enough food so that we can sustain the body our whole day. Next, please. Next. We should drink plenty of fluids. Choose fluid-rich foods to make sure we are well hydrated for the day ahead. And go for starchy food for energy, choosing high fiber or whole gram varieties where possible, as this can help keep we feeling fuller and can add digestion, helping to prevent constipation. Now, what should we eat? Bread, whole grain options, or those provide more fiber. So we should have, instead of white wheat, we should have a whole grain fiber flour. For example, chapatis or paratha with ghee or oil inside. So avoid combining bread with salty foods. As bread is fairly dry, make sure we should drink plenty of water or other fluids alongside, or we could have fluid-rich food such as lentil soup. So because bread is quite dry, we should have water or something so digest this thing and make it easy. Second thing, we can have milk, which contains fluid and nutrients like calcium, iodine, and vitamins. Next, please. In Sahoor, we could also have a starchy food like rice. We could try rice pudding with fruit or other grains with dairy or fruit. If we want to eat spicy dishes at Sahoor, it is good idea make sure these are not too salty or they make us very thirsty during the fast. So if it is something curries or something about say we should have not salty. Yogurt is one of them. We should have this yogurt in the Sahoor. This can be a good food to include at Sahoor as it is provides nutrients like protein, calcium, iodine, and vitamins, and also contains fluid. Next, please. These are the things we have to use in iftar, dinner, and Sahoor. Now, if we have a diabetic patient, what should we use in diabetic patient during Ramzan? Fasting Ramzan causes a major changes in dietary patterns of individual with diabetes in comparison to the rest of the year. Changes in meal timing also take place, and a person takes 2 to 3 meals a day as opposed to the 5 to 6 meals that are suggested by the normally by the doctors to the diabetic patient. 5 to 6 meals. We should change to 2 to 3 meals a day. People generally tend to overeat during this period. People think that we have to fast for a long period of time. So they eat a lot of things during the Sahoor. And the diet is typically rich in carbohydrate and fats, which may lead to postprandial hyperglycemia as well as weight gain. It is common misconception. It is common misconception that the sincere pakoras are made of besan, which is generally considered good for people with diabetes because if it's low glycemic index, eating them will cause no harm. No, it is not. It has oil, it has other salt, so that it is not misconception to eat a lot of pakoras and which is made by besan. Next, please. Fear of hypoglycemia may also cause a person to overeat as Sahoor, thus raising blood glucose. It is suggested that the diet during Ramadan should not different from the general dietary guidelines, which are followed throughout the year. This includes people, whether it is oral antibiotic drugs user or as well as those on insulin. A healthy, balanced diet and distribution of calories into 2 to 3 smaller meals during non-fasting days helps to prevent excessive rise in post-meal blood glucose. So this is a balanced diet which is contributed to 2 to 3 smaller meals. Next, please. Next. Yes. The pre-dawn meal should be taken at late as possible. As I mentioned before, Prophet ﷺ said that we should delay the Sahoor. So it should be taken as late as possible before the start of the fast and should mainly consist of complex carbohydrate to prevent acute rise in blood glucose and prevent rapid stomach emptying. So the carbohydrate should be distributed. Total calories should not be more than 1400 calories. Complex carbohydrates include whole grain cereals, suji, vegetables such as beans, lentils, and fruit, etc. So this is we should divide the carbohydrate in these things. Next, please. High calories food rich in refined carbohydrates and high fat foods such as samosa, pakoras, spring rolls, feni, paratha, jalebi should be avoided. These things should not be taken. Eating dates traditional makes the end of the first fast, but they are very rich in sugar. Dates are really rich in sugar, but it is traditional, and a portion of 1 or 2 dates may, however, not raise blood glucose. It is advisable to have the evening meal or dinner as early as possible after iftar. This should comprise of whole wheat, flour, chapatis, vegetable, and beet fish. Salad should be taken and increase the fiber intake. Next, please. Now, this next, please, in this a late night snack. This is also for the diabetic patient. A late night snack with glass of milk or portion of fruit will maintain normal glycemic till that Sahoor meal. So the diabetic patient should have meat, should have milk or something, or a apple or something as a night snack. It is suggested that non-caloric fluid such as water, black or green tea intake be increased during non-fasting hours. Avoid caffeine-based drink. As I mentioned before, avoid caffeine-based drink such as coffee and cola. Caffeine is diuretic and stimulates water loss through urination. Next, please. These are the few what should be eaten in iftar, what should be eaten in dinner, what should be eaten in bedtime, and so for diabetic patient. Now, altogether, it should not cross, as I mentioned before, 1400 calories. Next, please. Now, the diabetic patient who have insufficient renal efficiency, diabetic with the wide renal insufficiency must remember fasting can cause dehydration, thus compromising the kidney function further. So they have kidney problem, so they should avoid the dehydration problem. When breaking the fast, they should avoid high potassium and phosphorus diets, such as dates, apricots, fried fish, nuts, cheese, soft juices, and drink tea and coffee. So they have the problem with the kidney problem, so they should avoid these things, also the dates and apricots. Moreover, they should drink up to 1 to 2.5 liters of water in order to rehydrate themselves, but avoid drinking too much as it can lead to fluid overload. So they should have at least 2.5 liters of water because they have the kidney problem. Next, please. Next. Now, sometimes the diabetic patient also have the problem of lipids problem, dyslipidemia. Fasting diabetic we have shown to worsen dyslipidemia. The lipid problem has accelerate. They have great problem. So they should go back, please. Yes. So they have got the lipid problem. So the many studies said that they have to be very careful in during Ramzan. It is advisable to limit fat intake to control cardiovascular disease risk factor. Next, please. Now, the pregnant woman, the pregnancy is a physical, as we know that, is a physiological state, a particular nutritional requirement for growth of the development fetus. Gestational diabetes poses a great challenge in meeting these needs because they eat more, so they get gestational diabetes. Inadequate calorie intake, excessive carbohydrate restriction, can lead to ketosis, which is associated with adverse outcomes of the fetus. With the change of schedule in Ramadan and prolonged fasting, attention should be given to not to skip bedtime snack, which can be taken after or in between Tarawih, and take the Sahoor as late as possible. The general dietary guidelines remain the same for the pregnant women. Next. Now, just to mention, we have just finished a study about we have 4 groups of people: healthy volunteers, hypertensive only, diabetic only, and diabetic and hypertensive patient. This study is going to be published very soon. I'm going to send it for publication. Just one slide of this thing. We are just talking about number of calories because we have a lot of variable there. Just talk the calories. So healthy people came out one day 1,439. Hypertensive patient 1,515. Diabetic patient came out 1,349, and the diabetic hypertensive patient was 1,354. You can see that the healthy people 1,439 is okay. Hypertensive patient mostly they are obese or they are overweight. That's why they eat more. So they have the 1,515. But diabetic patient and diabetic and hypertensive patient, they are in well control under 1,350 calories. So they are well balanced. So this study gives the real picture of the things and also show that diabetic patients are taking care about the food very well. Next, please. And thank you very much for listening.
And with that, we have actually reached the very end of our session. Thank you so much, Dr. Nazeer, for taking time out of your busy schedule and guiding us through your knowledge. I hope the listeners have enjoyed the session as well. Thank you once again, sir.